Let's open our Bibles tonight to the book of Esther, chapter 3. We're going to look at verses 12, 13, 14, and 15. If you read these verses before now, then you probably were thinking, how can you get an entire sermon out of these 4 verses? Well, I hope you don't ask that by the time we're over, and I hope you don't think he should have quit while he was ahead. Let's read those 4 verses, and then we'll look at some things and make some comparisons to our day and time. Verse 13, and the letters were sent by post unto all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. I should have started with verse 12, but you can go back and read verse 12. Verse 14, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, which was really Haman's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink. But the city Shushan was perplexed. 2 weeks ago, we saw that wicked Haman had lied and deceived the king into signing a death warrant or a death command for every Jew living in any part of the kingdom of the king. If you recall, there was a large area that King Ahasuerus was over, and Haman wanted to make sure that he covered every single place. We saw that the king took Haman's word against the Jews and consented to their annihilation without asking any questions at all. Now, I would hope and pray that most of us are smarter than that. If I were to say, I've got a car for sale and it looks really pretty, would you say, I'll buy it, without checking to make sure it had an engine? You would want to know that it had a transmission. You would want to know, do the brakes work? What shape are the tires in? You would probably, I hope, ask a lot of questions before you just up and said, oh, you got a car, I'll buy it, no questions asked. If somebody came and said, I want you to buy a company. Well, what company am I buying? Oh, you don't need to know that. Trust me, it'll be a good company. Well, what company is it? Oh, you don't need to know. Just trust me that I will make sure you get a good company. I would want to know, what company is it? What do they sell? What do they manufacture? What's it going to cost? and what's their average income? I think most of us would ask some questions. But Haman goes to Ahasuerus and says, there are some terrible people and we need to annihilate them. And Ahasuerus says, oh, okay, I trust you. Kill all of them, without asking, who are they? What are they doing that's so terrible? How's this going to affect the kingdom? Ahasuerus never asked a single question. That was mistake number one. Then Ahasuerus gave Haman his seal ring that would sink into hot wax and make a seal that only the king's ring would make. He said, here, well, I guess I'm not going to give you my ring, but here's my ring. Make any order you want, sign any executive order you want, make any law you want. Here's my ring. Once you seal it, it becomes official without saying, okay, what laws are you going to pass? Ahasuerus said, here's my ring. With this ring, you can make any law you want to make, and it's official because you've got my official ring. I would think, okay, you can only pass one law, and this is, but once he gave him the ring, there was no limit to what Haman could do or what laws Haman could make. So Haman signed the order with the king's ring, and he sent it out in the king's name to everybody in the province. If you back up and read verse 12, which I omitted, he sent it in verse 12 to the king's lieutenants, the king's governors in every province, to the rulers of every province. Then he sent it to every people after their language. He wanted to make sure that those in authority, those in leadership, know as the king's commandment, I expect you to enforce it. After all, your job depends on staying on the king's good favor. So I'm writing it to every lieutenant, every governor, every ruler, so that you will understand this is a direct order from the king, and we expect you to make sure that it's carried out. How many of you get spam on a regular basis? Most of you. One way to get out of spam is don't have the internet. You won't get spam if you don't have the internet. But they sound very official. I got one the other day from our credit card that said you are 2 months behind on your payment. And here's the 800 number to call. Well, the last time I called the 800 number on the letter, I got in trouble because it was spam all the way. So I looked up the 800 number on their website, and I called the number, and she said the letter is a forgery Your account is paid in full. Disregard the letter, shred it. That letter had the official logo, had the official seal. Everything about it looked official. So nobody had a reason to ask, did the king sign this letter personally? It's signed with the king's ring. Don't you question it. One of my big problems growing up, in college, I almost got several demerits in college because I always wanted to know why. None of the rulers, none of the governors, none of the lieutenants dared question this commandment because it was sealed with the king's official seal. So when they get it with a veiled threat, you either see that this is carried out or there will be consequences. They agreed to carry it out without any question. The leaders could be punished if they did not make certain that the people under them carried out the law. Then it was sent to every person after their language. Haman wanted to make sure that not only the rulers, but the people understand this is a law signed by the king's seal. And I expect every one of you to carry it out. Haman wanted to make certain that everybody knew what was expected and that they could carry out the order with the king's blessing because it was sealed with the king's ring. Imagine, and I like to imagine occasionally, there have always been people that hated the Jews. Always been people that did not like the Jews. We've got them today. Hamas is but one of them. There are other nations that would give anything to annihilate the Jews. They hate the Jews because they're Jews. Like I said, the war with Hamas is just one example. They hate the Jews. And I'm sure there were people in that day that hated the Jews, and now they've got permission from the king to kill every Jew. Yes, we can kill them and not break the law because the king made the law, sealed it. It's the law. We can kill them without any repercussions. Now, you and I are weird. Think about that. Not weird in a weird sense, but we're weird because for the life of me, I cannot understand so much hate that it would cause people to rejoice over killing someone else. I can't understand that kind of hatred. I get aggravated with people sometimes. I get aggravated with myself sometimes. There are some people that really annoy me sometimes. But I cannot understand being so mad, so angry, so full of hate that I would rejoice in killing them. See, as Christians, we can't think like that. At least, I hope you can't. I hope you cannot get joy out of seeing people tortured and killed. And yet there are people all over the world who are being killed and tortured for no other reason than they're Christian. Well, I'm sure glad that doesn't happen in the U.S. Are you sure? How many of you know what road rage is? Several years ago, this has been quite a few years ago, my wife and I were coming to church one night, and lo and behold, I could show you right where the intersection was. We're stopped at a traffic light. There's a pickup truck in front of us, and there's a car in front of that pickup truck. Now we're sitting there waiting for the light to turn green. And all of a sudden, the man in the car in front of the line jumps out of his car, goes back to the pickup truck, and the truck window was down, and he starts reaching through the window and pounding on that guy and just beating on that guy and pounding on that guy. Well, immediately, the first thing I did was get my phone, call 911. There was an officer about 100 feet up the road. He was there in seconds. The driver of the car was still beating up on the guy in the truck when the officer pulled in. And because I was a first-hand witness, I was subpoenaed to testify and, all of that. And a couple of days before the trial, the officer called me and said, by the way, you can ignore that subpoena. The guy that was in the truck is swearing under oath that the guy in the car never touched him, never hit him, never ripped his shirt off. The guy is swearing up and down the guy never touched him. I said, I saw it. And the officer said, so did I. I said, what happened? Apparently, the pickup truck had cut the guy off, and the guy in the car was so full of rage that as soon as he stopped at a red light, and you could see it in his face, he was so angry, so full of rage, that he ripped his shirt off and just pounced and beat and hit on that guy because the guy had cut him off somewhere back down the road. People have been killed because of road rage. This morning I was coming to church early, and a car came quickly up behind me, came up very quickly behind me, and just about rode my bumper. And I'm thinking, what is this guy's problem? And I remembered rage and hate. And they can hate you for a bumper sticker you got on your car. And I thought, oh no. I've got 3 bumper stickers on my car, which are very unpopular with a lot of people. One of them says this car is protected by the Second Amendment, and it shows a picture of a gun. The second one says Blue Lives Matter. And the third one says if you can't stand behind our soldiers, try standing in front of them. And I'm thinking, which one of those stickers doesn't he like? I mean, he's on my bumper, and I don't know what he's going to do. And all of these thoughts are going, and it's like, people cut me off. I don't get mad. I don't get full of hate. I don't get a gun and shoot them just because they cut me off. But there are people that will kill you just for looking at them funny. They are so full of hate and anger and bitterness that they will kill you if you just look at them funny. I can't understand people who rejoice when someone they don't like is killed. Most of us are old enough to remember when candidate Donald Trump was shot. I think most of us, you don't remember when Trump got shot? I said most of you are old enough. You know, I'm giving most of you credit. People were angry that he wasn't killed. They were mad and rioting in the streets because he wasn't killed. Now, there's some politicians I do not like. There are some politicians that are as crooked as a dog's hind leg. They are as sneaky as a snake. I don't trust a thing they say or do. But if they got killed, I would not rejoice. More recently, when Charlie Kirk was killed, people were celebrating in the streets. They were so full of hate and anger. They were so full of anger against this man that they celebrated his death. Yay, he's killed. Somebody killed him. And they were celebrating. I cannot understand that for the life of me. I can't understand that kind of hate. I can't understand somebody who is so angry because one man offended him. Mordecai offended him, and he is so full of hate that he wants to kill every Jew just because of Mordecai. As a Christian, I cannot understand that kind of hate. You see, Christianity is the opposite. We're to love our enemy. Some are a little harder than others. We're to do good to them that persecute you. We're to love our neighbor. Now, we've been blessed to have good neighbors, and in the houses that we've lived in, we've got great neighbors. But even if they were terrible neighbors, I'm to love my neighbor. You see, Christianity is so opposite of hate that if I were to get word tonight, I get my news broadcast, I get an alert, Chuck Schumer was shot. Y'all know who Chuck Schumer is, don't you? If not, go home and look him up. He's the head honcho on the Democrat side in the Senate, if that tells you anything. I don't agree with him on much of anything when it comes to politics. But I could not rejoice if somebody texted and said Chuck Schumer was just shot. I can't, because my first thought, if he died, my first thought is found in Luke 16, and in hell he lifted up his eyes. I would not rejoice even in him. I would not rejoice if I got word that Joe Biden died tonight of whatever. Because again, the words, and in hell he lifted up his eyes. See, I don't think like Haman. I can't think like Haman. One person made me mad, and I'm going to kill everybody. Well, verse 13, the decree was very clear. How many ways can you say kill? Haman found every way possible. You destroy them. You kill them. You cause them to perish. He wanted to make sure there's no question. I want them dead. You destroy them. You kill them. You make them perish. I want them dead. And there's no sign of pity. No one is exempt. Not old people, not young people. One of the guys last night, we were talking, and I said something about I've been preaching since 1969, been pastoring since 1973. And he said, "How old are you?" Well, I made a big mistake. I said, "How old do you think I am?" He said, "Oh, I'd say you're at least 88 or 89. I thought, never ask anybody how old you look. I didn't want to hit him. I didn't want to kick him. I didn't want to slap him. I didn't want to kill him. The good thing about being old is now, honey, can I help you? Honey, do you need some help? Honey, could you get a lot of honey when you're this old. But he had no pity, no sympathy. What about little children? Kill them. What about women? Kill them. What about old people? Kill them. Kill every Jew, old, young, children, babies, kill them. See, again, I can't understand that kind of hatred. But then I thought, Satan has never been one to show pity. One of the questions that has puzzled me for years and years, why would the devil want to ruin something that God made perfect? Adam and Eve were perfect. Why would Satan want to ruin something that was so perfect? for the same reason that people want to kill Christians, the same reason that people want to kill anybody that disagrees with them. Notice the reaction. The news was broadcast in Shushan the palace, which would be like Washington, D.C. Kind of help you put it in perspective. The Jews, when they heard the news, the Jews were perplexed. Well, I thought I knew what perplexed meant, but I looked it up in Strong's Concordance, and it simply means confused. When I think of perplexed, it's like, and you're running in 50 directions. The word perplexed simply means confused. The Jews were confused. What could possibly cause the king to want to kill us? Many of them probably did not know Mordecai, probably did not know that Mordecai had refused to bow down to Haman. Many of them probably did not know that this was a direct result of Mordecai's action. So they were confused. Why is the king killing us? And then there was great sorrow. They were sentenced to death without even knowing why. Sometimes people mistreat us for no obvious reason. They don't like people wearing blue. So anybody with blue, I hate blue, therefore I hate anybody with blue. I'm going to kill everybody with blue. Now that doesn't make any sense to us. But they will kill you for something that stupid. They were perplexed. They were confused. We're going to be killed, and we have no idea why. But notice the contrast. The king and Haman sat down to drink just like nothing was wrong. They go on as if nothing had happened. They sit down and have a nice drink together, and Haman can enjoy life even though he knows he is the instrument of millions of people being killed. He's as relaxed as possible, even knowing everything that he had done. Quickly, let's bring it to our day. Those of us who were saved, at least me anyway, I know evil exists in the world. Some people are just plain evil without any real reason. It existed when Cain killed Abel. It existed when Christians were persecuted and tortured during the Dark Ages. Evil has existed since Adam ate of the forbidden fruit. Evil was in the heart and mind of men like Hitler, who killed millions of Jews and never even gave it a second thought. Evil is in the heart and mind of many people who have no value in life because they don't know that we were made in the image of God. They're taught that you're just an animal. That's all you are, is just an animal. And if you kill a dog to put it out of its misery, killing a human is no different. We know evil exists. But as a Christian, I don't think I will ever understand. In fact, don't waste your brain cells or your time trying to understand evil. You'll never understand evil. It's as foreign to our minds as the vast expanse of the universe. You'll have more success understanding the entire human genome than you will trying to understand pure evil. We don't need to understand it. We need to know it exists, and we need to do everything in our power to avoid it. Stay away from it. Psalms chapter 1, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Don't associate with people that are evil. It'll rub off. Don't stand around and talk to them. Don't sit among them. Don't listen to them. They are evil. And we need to avoid them at all